the Patriots hold the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. Thank you, Giants. You morons. You had one job. And now the Patriots are one loss away from just holding all the cards, all of them. I am begging, pleading with you, New England Patriots. I will get on my knees if I have to. Do not win this game. I have never rooted for the Patriots to lose a game in my whole life. I will be rooting for it on Sunday. Do not win this game. Don't you dare win this game and fuck this up. You are such a bad organization that you need every option possible at this point. Any option needs to be on the table, any and every. You can really mess this up if you win this game. And I'm telling you, it's almost my nightmare scenario, right? The Bills have the playoff spot. They have the seed. They're probably going to rest starters this Sunday. Like, my worst fear is that they rest enough starters that the Patriots screw around and win this game. Now, if they win it, they drop to 2 or 3, right? I think maybe just 2. But when you are this bad at putting a team together, as the Patriots have been the last few years, and we don't know who the heck these people are that are in charge, you need as many options as humanly possible. And that would be having the number 1 pick. Because then you can draft anybody, but more importantly, you can trade that pick and stockpile some picks. And that's the mentality you got to have right now. Whether it's Travis Hunter, whether it's a tackle or a trade, you have had so much going against you the last few years. You've had such few things in your corner, so few chips to throw on the table. This is the time. Okay? Don't pull anything stupid. Don't try to win one for Mayo. Don't, give him a Gatorade bath after the game. Don't try to prove that you guys are better than what everybody says. You're not. And this game against the Bills' second team is not going to prove to anybody that you're better than a 4-win NFL team. Nobody's going to be, oh, well, maybe we were wrong about the Patriots. They didn't pick number 1 in the draft. They picked number 2. Don't do it. I've never wanted my team to lose a game more than this one. It's almost as if, obviously the Patriots and Elliott Wolf, they can mess up anything. I don't put anything past them. But if you have that number 1 pick, it's very tough to do. Because I want you to get the number 1 pick, and to be honest, I don't want you to even draft at number 1. You have gotten to a position where, for some reason, the Raiders and the Giants are winning football games, and they're going to go for a quarterback. And you need to be on the phone with those 2 teams from 4:30 Eastern time on Sunday until the beginning of the draft. Let them have at it. Who is going to give you the best package to move up? Or maybe someone wants Travis Hunter. That's not out of the realm. One of these teams that's not picking a quarterback, a team like Carolina, who's inexplicably won a few games, maybe the Cowboys want to jump up and get him. They're going to get desperate, right? But do not win this game. Please don't win this game. Please. You have shown new ways to lose football games all season long. Don't try to reverse the narrative. Please, God, don't. Because if you're giving me a top 3 pick and say, hey, the Patriots need to pick somebody in the top 3, I'm going Travis Hunter just because I think he's the best player in the draft. It's not the best draft class ever. You're still trying to figure out. I mean, obviously he's a corner, but he's probably not the absolute best corner in the draft, and he's not the best receiver in the draft, but he's pretty damn close to both. So at least you get some versatility there, man. I just can't imagine the Patriots messing this up, but they've proven me wrong before. Because if you're picking 2 even, you don't really have the chips. Maybe there's a quarterback hungry team desperate enough. But honestly, I wouldn't mind the scenario where the Patriots trade back to fourth or fifth. And if they say, hey, we've got our tackle, whether it's Campbell or whether it's Banks, who got injured in that classic UT ASU game yesterday. Whether it's one of those guys and you just say, hey, that's our franchise left tackle, brilliant. Draft him at 5. Don't draft him at 1. Nobody else is going to draft him at 1. You're betting against yourself. You're bidding against yourself. Don't do that. But hey, if there's a plan in place, and I mean, that is probably the biggest position of need. But as we've said multiple times every day on this show, outside of quarterback, there is not a position group on this team that needs massive improvement. Not one. And some talking heads out there think that you should also be trading your quarterback, which is ridiculous, but we'll get into that later on in the show. But I literally, I've like laid awake at night and in the morning trying to get back to sleep of like, are the Patriots going to just screw around and win this game? I don't even know who Buffalo's backup is. Is Trubisky still? I have no clue. But like, Allen's probably not going to play. None of their big dogs are going to play. They've got their spot. They're not going to get the number 1 seed. It's time to just lose. Guys, you've done it all season long. You've done it every which way. Just go ahead, do me a favor, do us all a favor, and lose this game on Sunday. Because then we will have the 3 months to decide what to do with this and maybe, just maybe, completely turn around this franchise. Because right now, it is maybe the worst franchise in football if you look at just the last couple of seasons. I know, Jacksonville's been at this a long time. The Raiders have been at this a long time. But you look at the last like 3 seasons, it's the Patriots and the Giants, I think, are just head and shoulders above the rest in terms of how poorly this thing has been run. And by next year, we'll be saying the Jets again in that same window. But Sunday's game was just another story. It's just the story of the season for this team, right? They had a hell of a performance against Buffalo last Sunday. It was perfect. Drake May had a good game. They forced some turnovers. They played really well on the road, and they lost the game. That was perfect. But then, as we've seen all season long, this team takes a little bit of a good thing and then wipes their ass with it. And just turns it into like some of the worst performances of the season. And that's one of the biggest blowouts against the Chargers that the Patriots have faced in like decades. Never in it. 40-7 on your home field, which doesn't mean much. You've won 2 home games in 2 seasons. That used to mean something. Not that Gillette was ever Arrowhead, but teams didn't go into Gillette and win. I remember that. I'm old enough to remember a time when the Patriots won almost all their home games. And to be quite fair, they won about 70 to 75% of their games anywhere it was played. But that game on Sunday, just atrocious. And Drake May does not have a great game. But again, how much can you blame the kid? And their only score of the game is a free play that Drake just chucks down the field, and Pop Douglas makes a nice play on the ball. Other than that, you were completely hapless yet again. And how many times have we seen that this year? You have a good performance and then just absolutely shit the bed. I think of, was it the Chicago game? You obviously get the win. You have a loss against the Rams the next week. You just have this weird game plan and get absolutely torched by the Rams receivers. You don't cover Cooper Kupp. You don't cover Puka Nacua. You don't put your best corners on them. How about beating the Jets and then losing to the Jags in London next week? An awful Jags team. You look at the game they should have won against the Colts. They blew that game. They left it late. They gave up a couple 4th down plays, including a 2-point conversion. That was a good performance, and you got the loss. Then the next week, you got blown out by Miami. So it's been like, I'll take you back to the first part of the season. You actually got a win over Cincinnati. You play a great game against Seattle the next week. In fact, you kind of blew it. It was in overtime, and you blew it. And then after that, you get routed by the Jets. So every time there's been a little bit of, hey, maybe this team isn't completely awful after all. They show you exactly why they're completely awful, and why they should have the number one pick in the draft, why they're the worst team in the league. And so, like, that's done. We abandoned that 5-6 weeks ago. If this is what you're going to be, do it till the very end. Do not toy with us. Don't try to be like, oh, we got one over Buffalo. Nobody gives a shit. Lose the game, have the number one pick, and have your choice at number 1 or number 4 or number 5. But if you don't have that number 1 pick, you're not holding the cards. So the difference between 1 and 2 is massive. If you have 2, you're picking at 2. If you have 1, you have all kinds of options. If you let one of those quarterback hungry teams sneak in front of you, you're done.
We are Rogue Media Sports.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. And if you like this video, be sure to give us a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel a ton. You can follow me on Twitter here for some more outrageous Boston sports takes coming to you every weekday at noon Eastern time. And then after that, wherever you get your podcasts.
We are Rogue Media Sports.